Yo, welcome to the Big Take. I'm your host, John Red, here to bring you the biggest take in professional open bodybuilding. And today I'm coming here to talk to you guys about the relationship as coach and athlete between Matt Jansen and Nick Walker. As you guys already know, Nick Walker just pulled out of the Mr. Olympia 2024 just a couple days ago, maybe. So I have a question that I would like to pose. Is Matt Jansen more concerned with his own brand than Nick Walker? Now, let me explain this. I'm going to give you a little bit of backstory, technically backstory. So, I did a video maybe a couple months ago about Brandon Curry and Abdullah. As you guys know, Abdullah was Brandon Curry's coach for several years and had Brandon Curry at the Oxygen Gym, where he was responsible for blowing Brandon Curry up, ultimately leading to his Mr. Olympia title. Now, Abdullah was doing an interview with Fuad and said that when he was last coaching him, that Brandon was at the Oxygen Gym overseas, and they're in the same place, Kuwait, I believe. And Abdullah was only getting pictures of Brandon and wasn't seeing him in person when they're in the exact same place. And that kind of threw up a red flag for me because you have a Mr. Olympia. But anyways, it led me to believe that Abdullah's just a little bit too preoccupied with his own stuff as far as business and money and wealth and whatnot and status to be that concerned with Brandon Curry, right? It just didn't make any sense to me. Now, there were some things going on in the Oxygen Gym between Abdullah and some of the coaches that led him to get a little bit out of the gym or not be present during Brandon Curry's training. But as you guys know, Matt Jansen is part owner of Raw, a huge supplement company. He's partners with Chris Bumstead in that. And Matt Jansen is kind of his own brand. If you look at his Instagram, he's always got really nice pictures of him and his family. He's a young guy, young, handsome dude that makes a lot of money, that is a successful coach. He's a great coach, I might add. And at this point, for the last 2 months, maybe, he's also been training for a Ironman. So he's been biking and he's been swimming and he's been running constantly and preparing himself for that huge race. And during this time, he's been documenting progress with different pictures and whatnot on his Instagram, and it looks fucking badass. I mean, the guy's a badass. He's a bona fide badass. But if you look at some of these pictures on the Instagram, particularly one the day that he announced that Nick Walker was not going to be in the Olympia, and minutes later, maybe 20 minutes to 2 hours, I don't know exactly how long, Matt Jansen just posted up a picture of him and his family and his two young, beautiful kids that look just the fuck like him at a football game. And it's all like great photography, and it just looks, wholesome, and it's like HD pictures, and they got pictures with, Jansen on the back of their jerseys and whatnot. And that's part of Matt Jansen's brand. He's a family man. He's got a ton of money. He's competitive. He used to bodybuild, and he's also an Olympia and Arnold Classic winning coach. Now, if you look at other coaches, guys, like let's look at the best coaches in the industry. You got Hani Rambod. Hani Rambod is very low key, even though he has his own podcast. Even when he's in front of the camera, he's low key. Everything he does seems to be revolve and be aimed at coaching and his athletes and the betterment of his athletes. If you look at somebody like Stefan Kienzel, everything that he does is about coaching, just the athletes. No huge business that he's running at the time, making a bunch of money. None of these Instagram posts, kind of showing off to a degree. I know that's the culture that we live in as far as social media, and that's a part of building your brand. But if you look at Psycho Fitness, same thing. Everything revolves around coaching. If you look at Chris Aceto, everything revolves around coaching. Even Milo Sarchev, everything revolves around coaching and bodybuilding. Even though he's on podcasts all the time, but he's extremely passionate about that and only that. And it makes me wonder: is Matt Jansen too big to coach somebody as big as Nick Walker? Obviously, he can coach him and he's very successful, but are his priorities uh, in order to get Nick Walker where he needs to be and keep a constant eye on him and do what's best for him and not necessarily best for himself. And I know there's a thin line, and Matt Jansen, in no way am I trying to say that the dude is wrong for this or anything like that. I'm specifically talking about, is this the kind of coach that Nick Walker needs? I know Abdullah wasn't the kind of coach that Brandon Curry needed, and I think it's kind of for similar reasons. I don't know if Matt Jansen and you know, on the front of the picture for this video, it says, is he too rich to coach? I mean, he's a big rich part owner of a multi-million-dollar company, and then it's like, how much time can you really put, or what kind of quality time, efficient time, can you put into your athletes? You know, he's also coaching Brett Wilkin, he's coaching Quentin Beastwood. You know, he's got a host of really competitive open bodybuilders that he's coaching. Does he have enough time in the day to do all that? He might be killing it, and I might just be just looking way too far into it. But it leads me to think that, just like I said in my last video, that Nick Walker needs a new coach. Whether it was health that got him where it was, or whether his body is just not responding, there's nothing you can do about it. Your job as a coach is to protect an athlete from himself. If he is going too hard, you're supposed to be protecting him for himself. You're supposed to provide counsel and whatnot, which is why in my last video I said I think there's several other coaches that would be more fit for Nick Walker. Coaches that are only about coaching, and selfless, completely selfless coaches that only worry about their athlete, and everything else is on the back burner. Now, I know you have to worry about family. I'm sure some of these other coaches have businesses, but I don't think that they're in the public eye in the same fashion that Matt Jansen is in the public eye. So, you know, in the comments, guys, let me know if I'm fucking tripping, if I'm looking too far into it, or let me know if I might have a hunch on this one. But anyways, my name is John Red. This is The Big Take, and I'm going bye.